guys, this is John McNamara, host of Running Vegas. We're talking local sports, business, real estate. I got my co-host in the house today, Mr.
Rodrigo. Thank you for having me today.
Thanks for being on, man. And we got a special guest, top
Very
producer, Virtue Real Estate Group, Genesis Jameson.
Ooh. Hello, everyone. Nice to be here today. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thank you for coming on. We're excited to have you on.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So let's dig in.
I'm ready.
Tell us a little about you, where you're from, why'd you move to Vegas, why'd you get into real estate?
Ooh, all of the fun questions. Well, first, never thought I would step foot in Las Vegas after I was here in 1998
Okay.
for a Wyoming football game against UNLV. I am from Wyoming, proud to be from Wyoming.
Are you a cowboy?
I am.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely,
Cool.
and will always be.
Nice.
Never thought I would come back. Fast forward about 18 months, and a girlfriend who lived out here was going through a divorce. And I was looking to move to Oregon. I wanted to get out of Wyoming and spread my wings. And she needed a little help. And I had a lot of friends out here who worked in the casino industry, and I figured, if the roles were reversed, would she do it for me? And I knew she would. So made some phone calls and got a couple interviews, relocated to Las Vegas, and I worked in the casino industry and babysat her girls during the day so that she could kind of get on her feet while she was going through the divorce.
Yeah.
Figured I'd be here about 6 months. 6 months has turned into about 23 years.
Wow.
So, and then fast forward a year and a half into into working in the casino, I had a very good friend who was like, "You would be good in real estate." I'm like, "No, I wouldn't. I'm not." And my perception was, "Oh, I'm not smart enough. I'm not book smart." And so I was like, "I can't do that." "Yes, you can." Well, then I decided to look into it. So I did the home correspondence back 23 years ago, studied at night, worked during the day. And then I flipped my schedule once I passed my test and worked 6 at night until 2 in the morning.
Wow.
During doing the casino, and I worked 8:30 to 5 every day doing real estate.
Wow.
And I have not turned back on it, and I love every minute of it.
Well, I love that story because there's so many people that get into real estate and they do it part-time, and
Yeah.
the reality is it's really hard to do it part-time. You
Yes.
know, you really got to, like you, go all in, even if you're working another job. So that's incredibly impressive. So that must have taught you a lot and probably created a thick skin for this industry, huh?
It did. And I, of course, the test part of real estate was probably my most difficult part because I'm not a sit still study type girl. I'm a hands-on. So the studying was most difficult. Once I got into the trenches of doing real estate, I knew it was going to be easy because I, one, love people.
Yeah.
And I think I'm kind of good at threatening people in a very positive and loving way.
A light way. Yeah.
I would not see that coming. I hope that never happens to me on a deal.
So, working in the casino industry, I had worked there at this time now 2 years, and every 6 months you would do a shift bid.
Okay.
So you'd work different schedules. So I got to know all of the executives,
Nice.
the HR departments. I got to know the housekeeping. I worked VIP services, so you kind of, I worked on the penthouse floor, so I got to know a lot of different departments, and I made sure everybody knew Genesis Jameson was getting into real estate.
Oh, great.
And they must use me. Plus, I did have a pretty good network of friends who had relocated here prior to me moving to Vegas from my hometown. So they were naturally my first source of business.
Yeah.
And then, of course, started cultivating business from the Monte Carlo where I worked.
That's great.
Okay.
That's a great story.
Yeah, it's a very neat story. Yeah. And, I know we've only known each other for a short period of time since we moved to Virtue Real Estate Group. But you've always been very welcoming, very friendly, right?
Yeah.
So I can see that you have that hospitality background. Now it makes sense. That's amazing. Yeah.
And growing up, I was always the girl, when I talked too much, if you ask my parents. And even if I don't know your name. My mom always said, you have a lot of friends who have no names. Because I was going to chat with you whether you wanted me to or not.
Oh,
you were
adorable.
going to talk to me. And I've been that way my whole life.
That's
but
awesome.
I do. I feel like I feed off of people. I feel like my energy kind of just, people give me energy. And so I just enjoy it. So
Nice.
I'm going
Great.
to chat with you whether you want to talk to me or not.
That's nice. Well, I appreciate that. So you're extroverted. I'm very introverted. So it's very different.
And
Yeah.
it could be hard. I mean, introvert, as I have gotten older, I've become more of an introvert.
Yeah.
Because I do talk all day long. So sometimes I'm like, oh, I need to shut up. Because I talk too much.
No.
How do you two being an introvert in real estate?
It was good. I think that was one of the reasons I wanted to go into it, to challenge myself. And you're constantly challenging yourself. You're talking to people. You're working on your skills with communication. You know, doing a podcast or a class, whatever it is. I think I just always, if something makes me feel uncomfortable, I kind of lean into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been good. And I was brought up, you know, in the industry. You know, 3 generations. My grandfather, my dad. My dad's introverted as well. So I got to see a man that was introverted. So it was like it was doable. You know. And as you know too, there's different personality styles.
Yep.
It kind of doesn't matter which one you are. You just have to understand your strengths and your weaknesses, and double down on your strengths and kind of work on your weaknesses. But you are going to be who you are, and people will relate to you depending on your personality. So yeah.
True. So true. Because most of my friends are introverts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most of my friends are extroverts.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
We're
go
the
along.
yin and the yang.
Making process.
One of my very closest friends, she's a big introvert, and there's times where she's like, when we were younger, oh, I'm going to bring Genesis.
Yeah.
Because I am not good in crowds.
Yeah.
So she's going to chat with everybody.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
you could hang back, but still be there because you
Yeah.
had to be there for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And enjoy the little bit of the social. But the extrovert was going to talk for you.
Oh, for sure. I have
Yeah.
extrovert friends. Like, we're going on road trips. I don't say anything. They're having full conversation
Yeah.
with themselves. And it's the best conversation they've ever had.
Let them talk.
You know who you are.
Yeah. Shout out. Yeah.
To all of you extroverts, and to me, all of you introverts.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm a social butterfly. I'm an open book. Yeah, it bites me sometimes. So, but I'm very extroverted. Yeah, I don't hold back. I also come from the industry, working in casinos, restaurants. So I'm so used to just speaking with the customers, with the clients, making conversation, hearing about everything they need to tell me.
Yep.
You're a very good listener for
Yeah.
an extroverted person, which
Oh,
is a
thank you.
very unique quality. Because, he'll be on the phone 10, 15 minutes, and I'll be like, hey, you got to get off
You
the
got to
phone
hang
with
up.
me.
Yeah,
You got to move on. Like, you got to make more contact. It's the analytical side of me. But everybody loves Rodrigo, even my own clients, because we'll do some deals together. They're like, hey, how's Rodrigo? Is he going to be helping out on this deal? I'm like, he's great.
He's
Sure.
there. No, it does bite me. For example, when I'm on a listing appointment, I can be there for about an hour or two easily.
Oh, yeah.
Just getting rapport, and he's like, hey, 40 minutes or less. Like, time yourself.
You have to be
like
efficient.
Yeah, you have to be efficient. You could have taken 2 listings within that time frame. Like. And to me, it's just so hard. I'm not that type of person to be like, I'm done here, bye-bye. And no, I'm listening. You're going to show me every single corner of your home, and I'm going to hear every story behind every room, So, it's tough sometimes.
I will say, Rodrigo, you and I are one of the same.
Yeah.
And Mike, to that 45 minutes or less, I just did a Zoom class not too long ago, and it was with a lady who is part of the Ben Kenny Brevity.
Oh,
Okay.
great.
And they had a whole bunch of different agents on that kind of had their own niche of how they handle listings. And one of the ladies said, when I go on a listing appointment, it is going to be probably minimum 2 to 3 hours.
Wow. Just
And
wear 'em
that
down.
is me.
Yeah.
You and I are very
same.
much the same.
Oh,
I
I
always
would-
block off at least 2 to 3 hours for every listing.
Okay.
Because of that relationship building and just getting to know. And when clients see that you actually do genuinely care, I've always said my business, maybe it's grown slower than most who prospect and it's like go, go, go.
Yeah.
But it has grown organically and the phone still rings to this day. And it rings because many times people are saying Genesis actually cares about the transaction. So I think we all have a different style, and I think all styles are important.
Yeah, for sure.
But I am like a Rodrigo. I cannot, even if I want to be two, you would want to strangle both of us.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You'd be like, I have to babysit two of you?
Oh my gosh.
Well, I have noticed that even though, I spent a lot of time, it's time consuming, it gives me an opportunity to gain their trust. So when things, we do our best to pre-pace clients, but when things may get rocky later on, yes, I do feel much more confident because that trust has been established.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier moving forward as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I actually do think it's a very good quality. I wish I had the patience for it. But yeah, I think it's a great quality actually. And when I first got in the business, I was the same way, and I would be there for like hour and a half or 2 hours, and I changed it with my scripts and everything for efficiency reasons. But you're absolutely right, because you do win clients over for life, and then they are calling you, and you need to have that core of at least like 200, 300 people. You probably have a lot more, but you got to have that core of the 200 people that just love on you.
Yeah.
So it's great that you guys have that quality.
Right. And you have your own special quality that still brings in that business as well, I'm sure.
For sure.
Yeah, we have all different qualities. So, so it must have been interesting to transition to Las Vegas, and you stayed here. Because you're very nice, very wholesome. Like you have a great energy about you. And in Vegas, I love Vegas, but like it's a city, right?
Yeah.
So how was like that transition? You decide to stay. Like, tell me more about that.
It was tough.
Yeah.
I cried every day because I am also a emotional person.
Yeah.
A big empath. And so I cried daily for 12 months. But I also said I refuse to go back.
Nice.
Because growing up in a small town is amazing and it's great. For many reasons, but it also can be a little bit where people are in your business and they want to almost see you go, oh, Genesis came back because she couldn't make it. That was always in the back of my head. I'm like, I don't want to be that girl. Even though my boss, I worked at a bank back home, and my boss was like, Genesis, come back. We've got a position for you. We've got a position for you. And I'm like, no, even though I wanted to, I'm like, I have to give myself 12 months. And after 12 months, it got better. After about 6 months, of course, going into the gym, I made friends.
Yeah.
Because they were going to talk to me whether they wanted to or not. So I built a good friendship beyond my Wyoming friends who were already out here. And then I just slowly got used to it. Even though the casino I worked in had more people who worked in the casino than the town I came from.
Oh, wow.
And my boss cried when I told him I was moving to Vegas. He said, they will eat you alive. You're so naive. I'm like, it's okay. I'm going to be all right.
Yeah.
And I am.
I'm
awesome. Still the same girl. I've always been probably, for Wyoming, a little bit brattier.
Yeah.
So I think there's a part of me that needed a city,
Yeah.
but I still have my small town girl morals and values and the way I was raised.
Yeah.
You can tell.
That will never change.
Yeah, I did look you up on your bio for the pod a little bit. And when it said Wyoming, I wasn't surprised. And I'm originally from upstate New York. I grew up in a small city. And I love that story that you're like, I had that chip. I tell my team members all the time, like, you gotta have that chip.
Yeah.
Because things, like, it's hard. It's hard to be in this business.
Yeah.
You gotta have that. So that's a great story. But, it's funny. It's all relative because I think, like, Wyoming, I'm sure, like, people are, like, really nice. In New York, people aren't really that nice.
Very mean.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
And
He apparently is
you guys
not
didn't wanna
really
say
from
it.
New York.
Yeah.
but I'll be the heel on this pod, and I'll keep it rolling the whole way.
Very aggressive over there, man.
He might be
like
a New
it.
Yorker.
But when I came to Vegas, I thought everybody was so nice. I'm like, oh my God. So it's all relative. But I remember all my friends that when I first moved here, if they were like from the Midwest or the Mountain West areas, they didn't last very long. They're like, people are not nice here. I don't like it. And a lot of them moved. So it's just really interesting to see that you stayed here for over 20 years, originally from Wyoming. So I was just very curious about that. So that's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
So, I didn't mean to cut it. Yeah,
No, you're
my
fine.
sister actually lived here. Her and her now husband, my brother-in-law, they lived here for 7 days before I ever moved here.
Oh.
And they only made it 7 days because of that. Because it was too much of a bigger city than what they really thought it was going to be. And she's like, I don't need to be here. I'm going back.
Okay.
They went to Utah first and then back home.
Interesting. Okay.
So, how about you?
I'm originally from South America, from Lima, Peru.
And what brought you to Vegas?
At the time I was young, my parents decided to make the move. They actually started out in North Carolina. Then they saw an opportunity back in like 2000 here in Las Vegas, and at the time I was maybe 5th grade. So yeah, I feel like I personally grew up here. No, not throwing anybody under the bus, but I had no option to just adapt to the city, adapt to the language. I didn't speak. I only knew how to say "where's the bathroom at" in English. So yeah, it was quite the experience. But I feel like I'm at home here. So when I hear stories like yours, I'm always wondering like, oh, what if I moved somewhere and started new, and like how would that process be? Even though I did go through it as a kid, I didn't feel like because I was a kid, it was just it didn't affect me as much. You know?
Very young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always wonder how that would feel. Like, we'll have a MAC team expanding.
Hey, we might. They're looking around right now. We'll see.
Yeah, I'll go to Wyoming. Sounds like a nice place.
Hey.
Sounds like
I'm not signing up for that.
My Wyomingites, watch out for these two and let me know if they call
I
you.
was thinking like Austin, Texas, Nashville.
I'm thinking small, man.
Rodrigo's trying to go take him from Wyoming.
Thinking small, brother. Like,
See you there.
that sounds like a
meet you
good
there,
fit to me.
Rodrigo.
My Wyoming peeps are loyal to the core. Be careful.
No, yeah.
No, it seems like I actually do want to visit, either go skiing or watch a UNLV game there. That football stadium looks awesome.
It is nice.
Yeah.
And then go skiing in Jackson Hole.
Yes, I've heard.
Yes,
That'd
if
be
you like skiing, go
fantastic.
there.
Cool.
Okay.
Some of the best Teton Mountains.
I'm sure there's a lot of
Plenty
fresh
of tons.
food there.
Yes, Jackson changed. Growing up, it was more like a historical place.
Okay.
And then as it continued to grow and the world changed, the millionaires were pushed out by the billionaires, and now it became a little bit more commercialized than what us as Wyoming people would like it to be. But of course, you have to adapt to change.
Yeah, with time.
So.
Of course.
Cool. Well, tell us a little bit more about your real estate background. I know you've worked for bigger brokerages over the last 20 years, and now you moved to Virtue Real Estate, which is a boutique real estate company. So tell me about that transition and your experiences, maybe some hurdles you've gone through.
Yep. Grateful that I started at a larger brokerage. And I will say, when I was getting into real estate, if you guys know Javier Mendez, back in the day, he was with Realty Executives, then Keller Williams, and now he's over at LPT. But he and I were good friends from the gym. And I told him I was getting into real estate. And when he knew I wasn't going to go new construction, I was going to go general, he said, as a realtor, being brand new, you do not have any reason to be going to 100% office. You are a walking liability. You need to go to either at the time Prudential or Coldwell Banker. He goes, which one do you want me to set up the interview with first?
Wow.
Yeah.
And I said, let's do Coldwell Banker. And so he got the interview set up with Bob Hamrick. And Bob and I sat down. He knew that I was going to still be working another job, which they typically do not like part-timers. And I said, don't worry, I'm changing my schedule to work at night, and I will be full-time every day. Give me the opportunity. We went through everything. And he had faith in me that I would do it. I'm like, I'm going to make this a career. I just am a solo person. I need an income until I can make it. And so I changed my schedule, and I'm grateful that I started there for many reasons. They were very hands-on. We had great fast start training, and it was a 4-week at that time. And it was pretty much 1 to 4 every single day for 4 weeks. You probably know, since you were at Coldwell Banker.
I was.
And so that was really nice. And then there were just things for us as new agents to do every day, even though I was never great. I tried doing the prospecting that they would have us do out in the bullpen every day. that didn't go so well. Everyone's getting appointments, and they're like, Genesis, how are you doing? I'm like, oh, I just had crumpets and tea over the phone. But I never scheduled an appointment. So I wasn't great with it. And then I realized my sphere of influence was probably better. So, but I still liked just the sales managers that were there full time. So if you had questions, they were readily available. As a new agent, you do have a lot of questions. They really taught us the contract, and I do think that's something that is lacking in today with a lot of agents. They don't know the contracts. And that to me is very sad because we're helping people with one of their largest investments. So we did get a lot of that deep dive training on how to really conduct real estate as an agent. So I'm grateful for that. And then our managing brokers and everybody that was there. So it was just, for my first 16 and a half years, it was nice being at a company that kind of had everything there for me to allow me to grow and be the agent that I am today.
That's great. Yeah, I would say, back in the day, it was Coldwell Banker and Prudential that had the best training. I totally agree with you. And you're right, they were great at contracts. Because I came from New York, and we were in an attorney state. So, like, we didn't do contracts. Like, we had them half filled out, sent them to the attorney, they figure it out. So I started at Coldwell Banker out here when I moved out here. And I had a couple bad contracts here and there. And Molly sat me down. And I was really just clueless. I was ignorant. I was not doing this intentionally. I was just a clueless agent, and they really helped me get really good at the contracts. That's one thing I really appreciate about Coldwell Banker. They did have good managers. They had good systems in place. So overall, it was a good experience for me, too.
I agree. And then transitioning to a boutique, as I think we become more established and developed as agents and we don't need that hands-on, a boutique brokerage is where I think many of us go. And I am grateful for Darren and his brokerage for many reasons. I do look up to Darren and just seeing what he has developed and the space he's in the luxury. And then you guys as the other team, and then Rich Robledo, just having other agents who are seasoned. You kind of can align with them and you look up to them, and you kind of, even though we are all doing our own thing, there's just that, for me, an internal push to want to be better and do more.
Same.
But also knowing that we're here if we each other need each other as a collaboration, but we get it because we've been doing it for a while. So it's just a different level, and I do want to level up. I've been in this stagnant space for a long time, and I'm the problem. So just to see other teams, it's nice, and it does make me want to be better.
Yeah, we're the same way. We love it when we have more competition and more agents going after it. And it's fun, right? And see, what are you doing? What's making you successful? Genesis took 8 listings this month. We can get 9. Right?
And then it's also going, what are you doing? I always say there's enough business for all of us.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's share ideas and thoughts, because we're all different. Our personalities are different. We could all go on the same listing appointment, and one of us potentially are going to get it because the way in which we align with that seller.
For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's not a wrong way to do it as long as it works. Right? And you have success with it.
Agreed.
So I think I've seen like a big shift in our industry. It's kind of cool to like get these flashbacks working with these old companies back in the day, because I really feel like the training was so much better. And we have really seen a massive shift in our industry where training has gone down the hill, you know? And we're noticing a lot of the brokers and newer brokerages that are coming out, they're relying on team and team leaders to train agents. So we're seeing a massive shift in our industry, which is really interesting. You got really good advice from your friend there to go with Coldwell Banker in the beginning. Because I was the same way. I mean, I got lucky. I worked for my dad's company. But to this day, the best company I've ever worked for in upstate New York. But they had great training. And they taught you how to prospect and how to build your business. And I was on a 50% split, but I didn't care. I just wanted to learn and grow, and I think that's the difference, what I see, for folks that actually make it in this business. If you're going to go to that 100%, understand, they're not providing really much, unfortunately. So learn it, and then make those decisions down the line. 100% might make sense for a seasoned agent. But if you're new, look for a team or somebody who can mentor you to get you where you want to be. So,
Agreed. 100%. And I do think, just even to piggyback what you had mentioned about the training. It's not there. And I know even Coldwell Banker, they still have great training, but they have even condensed it into a shorter period of time.
Yeah.
To keep those agents today focused to show up and be there.
Yeah.
And so I do think as a new agent, either go with a Coldwell Banker or even a Berkshire or a team that is going to be there to walk you through the steps and give you that training and give you that support that you need as a new agent, because it is extremely, as we all have seen it, frustrating when you're dealing with even some teams in town I deal with, and I'm like, they're a disaster.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not perfect, because trust me, we've all fallen on our face and have made our fair share of mistakes. But going with a team that actually will be there for even a new agent when they bring them on, because a lot of times they bring them on and then they leave them for the wolves.
Yeah, absolutely.
You see that often. And I'm blessed to, found John as soon as I joined the business, as soon as I got licensed. But sometimes I see those agents, and I cannot imagine waiting to hear back from a broker that you never know when they're going to respond in order to keep your file moving forward. And oh man, I would lose it. I'm blessed that I could call him, text him. He takes like 9 minutes to answer. I'll usually time.
One day, 9 minutes, and he let me.
He let you know.
Never did that again.
No, but everything can be delayed when you need answers now, right? Or where your kind of things get fired up in the transaction. So it's important.
I agree. Yeah. And I will say, just even speaking to your guys' team, and because I walk past you guys every day, not only is your office the most beautiful setup office to where it makes you want to go in there. I even tried to detour to maybe go in and prospect, and I don't prospect, but it makes you want to. It smells great. It's very alluring because of the smell. There's always a nice aroma. And then two, I see you guys in there diligently working and also collaborating together, because you hear it, and it is nice. So I would have to say, if there were people who were new and wanted to go on a team, I would choose you guys.
Awesome.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
And shout out to George. That is all him. He designed our office, and that's why it smells good.
I'm not taking
George, I'm coming for you.
He'll redo your whole office. Don't even.
We'll take care
Before
of
we
that.
let you go here, let's. What do you do for fun besides real estate? What do you do? What are your hobbies?
Is there time for fun?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I, of course, first and foremost, I do love the gym for many reasons. I enjoy it just for the mental part of it, and it just makes me happy. I do love that. I'm from Wyoming, so I like the outdoors. There's not a lot. We're not a city town. None of the towns in Wyoming are cities. So you're outdoors. Growing up, we were always outdoors, so I am an outdoor girl. I love to hike. I love to rappel. Biking, I have an electric skateboard that's in Newport right now, but Walter and I have a dog. He and I enjoy the skateboard.
Nice.
But really the outdoors is probably my go-to. If I'm not working, I want to get away from the city, and I would rather be outside and feet in the earth. Not bare feet, but feet in the earth.
Gotcha.
Any favorite hikes nearby or anything that you like?
So there was a group of us, and as we all have kind of gotten older and business and just life, we don't get together as often. But when I first moved here, there were about 11 of us that we did every single hiking trail up at Red Rock. And then beyond that, there was a group of us from Coldwell Banker. We all started. Tammy Pitts, Mike McNamara, Jody Raffaelli. We'd all go on hikes up to Utah, up to Zion. One of our favorite is the subway.
Okay.
And that's where it's all different. You start at the top, and it's about an 8-hour, and you go into the canyon and then back out the other side.
Beautiful.
Kind of past the Narrows.
Yeah.
And so
Narrows.
you're hiking plus you're rappelling.
Oh, wow, that's scary.
And it's so fun.
I have a fear of heights.
Oh, you would love it. It's so fun.
That's scary.
Go off a cliff. It's fun.
Just go.
We'll tie you up, bro.
Yep. How about you guys?
Well, same, honestly. Yeah, it's funny. Our last team activity, we actually went to Calico Basin and went to Red Rock. Love to be outside, work out in the mornings at True Fusion. Yeah, just always getting movement. I'm actually going to be in Zion in about a week or two, so excited for that.
Do Angels Landing if you haven't
That's
done
where
it.
actually I am going.
Good,
So
good,
I'm
good.
excited. Yeah.
How about you?
We do this crazy hike. What is it? Near Boulder City with the hot waters. Springs.
yes.
Oh, it's like Big Springs or
Big
something?
yeah.
Or- I know which one it is.
Gold
We've
Spike.
done that. Gold Spike.
Gold Spike,
Gold
yeah.
Strike.
Gold Strike.
Gold Strike.
Gold Spike.
I was thinking at the bar. It's almost 5 o'clock.
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. But, we do that as a team, I believe, annually, so it's always fun. Yeah, It's relaxing. My phone, no service the whole time, so that's really what I appreciate.
It is. And if
Yeah.
you do Gold Strike, make sure you get water and snacks. We made that mistake. The heat gets trapped in there. It's
Yeah.
very, because I'm a pretty, well, back in the day, I was a very avid hiker, and even that was like tough.
Yeah.
So,
Agreed.
but we got to wrap this up. I want to thank my co-host, best co-host in the business.
Thank you.
If you're thinking about buying or selling real estate, hit up Genesis. She's a top producer here. Thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me, Mike, and thank you for having me, Rodrigo.
Yeah, of course.
And this is John McNamara running Vegas. Guys, take care of yourself. Have a great day.